we would like to greet all of the faculty members, teachers, and students from all over the National Capital Region and Region 4A. Thank you for joining us today in today's webinar series. We would like to thank the Commission of Higher Education Regional Office 4 for endorsing this very special webinar series that we're going to have today. And this is done in partnership with two prestigious universities in Rizal, the University of Rizal System and the International Peace Leadership College. So today's webinar, we have a very exciting theme that we are going to be talking about, and that is nurturing the heart and soul, promoting physical, mental, and spiritual well-being in time of this pandemic. So we have a wonderful theme, and that is fostering positive vision of hope and peace towards building a stress-free academic community. So this is incredibly timely and relevant, because what could be a better time to talk about our mental well-being and mental health than in this time of uncertainty brought about by the current global pandemic. So we hope that if you're watching this in your homes or in the comforts of your office, we hope that you're all ready to hear from our incredible lineup of speakers and panelists and reactors for today, so that we would know how will the academic community deal and tackle in this very timely issue that we are being faced with. So without further ado, by the way, this is the opening program. The closing program will be on the 23rd of October. So let us begin today's program with the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Hayang magiliw, ewas ang silanganan, alam ng puso, sa litig mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nanagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang bangaw, ay hinatang tulakaw, sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagiging, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magiging, lumalang araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, ang hindi kaya na pagkay mga akin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you very much. Let us all remain standing for the invocation. I think we are experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty for the invocation. We are going to have a video that is going to be played. Thank you very much. Let us now all be seated. Once again, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today in this very special webinar series, Nurturing the Heart and Soul, Promoting Physical, Mental, and Spiritual Well-Being in this time of pandemic. So to give us today's welcome remarks, I would like to call on no other than the President of the International Peace Leadership College, Dr. Venus G. Agustin. Let us welcome him with a big virtual round of applause.
To the 7 committee members of this program, I don't have to mention for time elements, but of course I would like to feel grateful to CHED Region 4A under the leadership of Director Biglietti, Amelia Biglietti, and this program is timely in this moment because of the many situations that our faculty and students really feel the stress level of experience, and that this is really something that we need to address. And I feel grateful to the 7 members of the committee headed by our Dr. Nancy Pascual of URS, and it's something that deep in my heart I can't really comprehend the kind of support from the members of the 7 committee. I feel that there is God. I feel that there is something that we need to look up in spite of the challenges that we face in this moment. I really challenge everyone to really look up and think that knowledge is one, but more important than knowledge, we need to seek the teachers of heart so that we can overcome all the pressures that we experience at the moment. I feel grateful that everybody is still alive. I think none in here are in quarantine, right? So let's listen to the presentations of our speakers, and I hope that with them we'll be empowered and strengthen our mental and spiritual level, that we can be more effective in meeting the challenges ahead. I know that this is something that we should not just take it for granted, but I believe that there is much more that we can do if we are empowered spiritually, morally, and physically, of course, right? Thank you so much and welcome everyone. And I hope that you will continue watching on our second episode on October 23. This is the first series, and the second series will be on October 23. Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Venus G. Agustin, for that wonderful welcome remarks and for the warm greetings, and also for giving us a little bit of a backgrounder of the goal and aim of this webinar series. Without further ado, we are going to hear a special message. Sadly, the director of CHED Region 4, Dr. Amelia A. Bigleta herself, is not able to join us today due to some of her responsibilities this morning, but she sent us a very special representative, and we hope that everyone could welcome her. She is the OIC Chief of the Education Program Specialist of CHEDRO 4A. Please help me welcome with a big round of applause, Ms. Cora Ampuman.
Thank you, Ms. Choli. To the school officials, faculty, on behalf of the Commission on Higher Education, Region 4, and Director Amelia Biglete, we would like to commend the Special Committee for the Province of Rizal, headed by the amiable President of the URS, Dr. Nancy T. Pascual, and members. Dr. Erlinda Pifianco, President of Antipolo Institute of Technology, Dr. Pedro Simon Ledesma, Provost of De La Salle College of St. Benilde, Dr. Vivienne Cosay, President of IC, Dr. Victoria Naval, Administrator of Juan Cainta College, Sister Caroline Capili, OP, President of Siena College, Taytay, and of course, Dr. Venus G. Agustin, President of the International Peace Leadership College, for this very timely webinar and topic, giving importance to our well-being in order to experience a stress-free academic environment. We know that our present situation is far from normal, which is impacting on our mental health. That is why the committee decided to conduct this kind of activity as among its priority projects to benefit administrators, faculty, and the students. So everyone is encouraged to complete the 23rd of this month, because as the invitation stated, this will help us all. Thank you and pleasant day to all.
Hello. Oh, yes. Good morning. Thank you so much, Ms. Cora Ampungan, for the wonderful special message. She spoke to us on behalf of the beloved director of CHEDRO, Dr. Amelia A. Biglete. So without further ado, I'm sure everyone is now so pumped and excited to hear from our incredible lineup of international and local speakers, reactors, and panelists this morning. So wag na natin patagalin pa. We are going to hear the introduction of our speakers today. Once again, please help me welcome Dr. Venus G. Agustin for the introduction to the speakers.
Good morning, everyone. I have the honor to introduce to you our speakers for this series program. The first speaker is Ms. Dr. Remelane Rose Santa Ana. He is a person with a lot of experience. His professional accreditation as a career service passer in 2018, a licensed professional teacher, registered guidance counselor, and in his experience at present, he is the instructor 3 and guidance counselor of the University of RIZAL system, and currently also is the University of the Philippines, graduated in doctor in education, major education, educational psychology, and his achievements, she has really has the ratings being in her profession as a guidance counselor given by the board of examinations in Manila in August 26. And also, she has that accomplishment with such a profession wherein she learned and to teach, do individual and group in guidance and counseling, and to be part in an organization that will enhance her skills as well as to foster personal and professional growth at its best. Our second speaker, Dr. Robert Kettle, his current position is the chairman of the Youth and Students for Peace, founded in 2017, and conducting programs in 46 countries. He's also the Director of Education for the Universal Peace Federation of the Asia-Pacific region. And during his 4.5 decades in Asia, Dr. Kettle has been a guest speaker and educator in schools, colleges, universities, and faith-based organizations, teaching hundreds and thousands of students in more than 40 nations. He has published 14 books, articles, curricula, and in-depth research papers, along with being a photojournalist with stories running in 7 publications. Currently, he lives in Manila with his wife, Teresa, and they have 2 children. My dear colleagues, faculty, and students, I'm happy to present first speaker, Dr. Rimile Rose, of Santa Ana. Let's welcome our first speaker.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen and am I clear?
Yes,
po.
clear po.
Okay, thank you so much. With all due respect to Dr. Robert Kittel, I think you would also understand if at some parts of my presentation I would have to speak in Tagalog so that our teachers would, so that it would be more heartfelt for us. Thank you. So my topic is all about coping strategies in times of crisis from an educational lens. Just to give you a background, where I am coming from, no, bilang isang tao po, sa panahon po ngayon ng pandemya, ay nararanasan ko rin po ang mga karaniwan yung nararanasan gaya ng anxiety at lalong-lalo na po ang stress. May mga pagkakataon din po na ako ay natatakot. As a teacher and as a professor po, marami akong adjustment na ginawa sa ating online classes. Sa module making pa lang, sa katuto pa lang, no, sa mga webinars na inattend natin, at saka sa paggamit ng learning management system na Google Classroom or Microsoft Office or kung ano pa man pong ginagamit natin. Bilang isang estudyante rin po ako, no, correction po, hindi pa po ako doktor, no, pero almost po, no, I'm almost done with my academic requirements. And also experiencing, kagaya ng sinasabi ko lagi sa aking mga estudyante na ang hirap din palang maging estudyante ngayong pandemya, no? Kasi lahat tayo nag-a-adjust. Paano kung mawalan ako ng signal bigla, yung internet, no, yung mga ganung technical difficulties and problems. Pero ako rin po ay isang magulang, no? Ang dami pong roles at isa rin akong anak. So, ngayong pandemya dahil ako ay nasa bahay, minsan po nagugulo tayo, no? Yung mga teachers diyan and mga tatay at nanay na nagtuturo minsan, nagugulo tayo ng ating maliliit na anak. At napakarami pong pagbabago nitong sinatawag nating new normal. So, you would see I am coming from a very challenging situation also, just like every one of us. This is the first time that we are experiencing this kind of pandemic. Sige, so moving on, matanong ko lang po kung chine-check pa po ba natin ang ating mga sarili? Kumusta na ba ako? Kumusta na po ikaw? Kayo? Tayo? Ang tanong, okay pa ba kaya ako? Kasi ang dami-dami nangyayari sabay-sabay. Kaya minsan parang pag pinapakiramdaman ko po, pag hinahawakan ko yung sarili ko, yung kamay ko, sabi ko, nasa na nga ba ako at this point in my life? As a person, as a teacher, as a student, as a parent, and just simply being me. Where am I at this point in my life? Yung mga concepts and knowledge natin as teachers and students, we could just search it sa internet and we could already have all the answers that we need. The challenge is to apply it to ourselves and to choose to make time to care, not only for others. Alam ko, marami sa ating mga guro na sanay na nag-aalaga ng ibang tao. Kagaya ko po bilang counselor, ang teachers po, kinoconsider na natin na nag-caregivers in their own rights. Nagbibigay ng kalinga, alaga at pagmamahal sa ating mga estudyante. So with the challenge of managing stress and taking care of ourselves, minsan hindi tayo sanay na tayo yung inaalagaan. Kapag nakakaramdam tayo ng lungkot, stress, pag tayo ay nalilito, natatakot o nagagalit, minsan hindi na natin napapakiramdaman, no? Pero ngayon pong for the next 1.5 or 2 hours, I would like to request everyone, regardless of our position, regardless of where we are, to find this time. Kahit ngayon lang, subukan natin na magkaroon ng panahon. Itong panahon na to, itong 1 oras at kalahati, itong 2 oras na ito, para tutukan naman natin yung ating sarili. Pakiramdaman ng ating puso at ang ating kaluluwa. It's okay not to be okay. And we cannot always judge ourselves. Minsan kasi ang tendency nating mga matataas ang napag-aralan is to be very self-critical. Alam ko po, achievement-oriented tayo. Pero may mga time off, breaks, and offs din po yon na pwede tayong maging totoo at tayo lang, kung sino tayo, bilang ako, wala lahat ng posisyon, ng mga achievements natin. And we can just be really who we are, here and now. It's okay to be here with our feelings, to be here kung nasan tayo. Let me just clarify on this slide that everyone reacts differently to stressful situations, especially in this time of the pandemic. Of course, there is only one us, there is only one you, but we are now called to be more alike than we are different, to be more understanding, to be more compassionate, to love more, to give more, not only to others, but first and foremost po sa ating sarili. No, napaka-importante po nung maalagaan ng sarili kasi yung sarili po natin ang pangahawakan natin para makapagbigay pa sa ibang tao. And without us taking care of ourselves, there are a lot of things that might happen, like mga mental health problems or conditions. So the choice now, life is a matter of choices, and every choice that we make, would lead us to our goals. And would lead us also to define who we are. So it's your choice. The challenge is to just be with yourselves kung saan tayo komportable at this point. And choices are not always between right and wrong. Sometimes it's about what's right and what's best. Ang dami pong gray areas dun sa best. And I hope you would choose to take care of yourselves. Ngayong panahon na to, ngayong mga minuto na ito, at sa mga susunod pa na panahon. One time, sabi ko sa isang kakilala, sabi ko, do you take care of yourself? And the immediate reply is, of course, I care about myself. Sabi ko, so in what ways do you take care of yourself? Well, that's where the tricky and challenging part begins. Mas madali pong sabihin kesa gawin. So today, I hope we choose to be joyful. Kahit ito lang moment na to be more kind, to choose love, to choose life, and to choose well for ourselves. The first thing po na napaka-importante for self-management is to start and end our day with self-care. Pagising po natin sa umaga, ano po yung unang pumapasok sa isip natin? Ano po yung una nating inilalagay? Napaka-importante po nun. Kasi pag inilagay po natin, pagising sa umaga, na naku, ito na naman tong araw na to, gagawin na naman modules, may klase na naman ako. So the whole day po, that would affect how we manage ourselves. Pero alam niyo po, sa mga group po ng mga teachers, pag merong nagsusulat lang sa chat, di ba marami tayong mga GCs dyan, no? Na may mga nagsasend ng GIFs, mga emojis. Sabihin nila, it's a new day, a new beginning. When we put that, the moment we wake up, when we start our day, or when we just breathe before waking up, that somehow changes so many things about our day. No? Because we deserve to be nice to ourselves, not only to others. Let me repeat that. We all deserve to be nice to ourselves, not just for others.
So I invite you to put...
So let's start with this breathing exercise. I cannot find a Tagalog version. Sana magkaroon tayo later on ng mga ganito na Tagalog, no? Para yung, iba kasi yung kultura nating mga Pilipino. But for the meantime, we'll be doing this. So let's practice muna sa sarili natin. So we're choosing to take care of ourselves. We're choosing to be present with ourselves in this moment. And we can only do that if we are mindful. Mindful kung ano ang nasa paligid natin, but more mindful kung ano yung andirito sa puso natin, sa pagkatao natin, at sa kaluluwa. Natatawa ko pag tinatanong ko yung mga teachers during stress management, no, yung mga stress debriefing, sabi ko, humihinga pa ba kayo? Kasi minsan, pati paghinga, hindi na natin magawa sa dami ng webinar, sa dami ng online classes, sa dami ng module, ng paggawa ng modules, ano. And then, sabi ko, automatic kasi yung paghinga eh. Pag di ka huminga, mamamatay ka. Pero alam nyo, merong kasing pagkakaiba, yung humihinga na masarap sa pakiramdam, at yung paghinga na humihinga ka lang kasi buhay ka. Kailangan natin bigyan ng buhay yung paghinga natin. Hindi lang basta humihinga tayo kasi kailangan nating huminga. Humihinga tayo kasi masarap huminga, maganda ang buhay. Kahit marami nangyayari sa labas, there is still deep within us that we have to choose. Tayo po, it's in our hands, no? So yung paghinga po, wala po yang tama o mali na paghinga. Kasi minsan conscious tayo, tama ba yung paghinga ko? Or kailangan ba tumataas yung shoulders? O kaya naman lumalaki yung tiyan? Kung saan po kayo pinaka-komportable na paghinga. So let's try this for 5 breaths. So when we inhale, so papasok po sa loob ng nostrils. And exhale. Pwede pong sa ilong pa rin lumabas, pwede rin naman po sa bibig. Depende po sa level ng ating pagod at stress at this moment. So let's begin. I'll just be counting and you breathe on your own. Sige po. It would be advisable to also close your eyes if you're comfortable. If hindi naman po, you could look down so that you will not be distracted. So 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. How was it? Mas maganda po sana kung nakikita ko kayo, hindi yung screen ko, no? Pero for the meantime that we are advised to do this, pinagkakatiwalaan ko po kayo kung paano nyo po aalagaan ang inyong sarili at nandito lang po kami to guide you on how you can better manage it. So let's hear it from our video, no?
Hand over the heart, hand over the belly.
Can you hear it? Ay, sorry. Can you hear it? Okay.
So I invite you to put hand over the heart, hand over the belly. And this is a gesture that first of all helps us to get in touch with our own breath. So we breathe in and out through the nose and we notice what it feels like to breathe into a soft belly. What I also like about this gesture is that it's a gesture of kind attention, right? When we're feeling extra anxious or fearful, we look at the world through the lens of threat. And so this is a gesture where can we look at the world and look at our bodies through the lens of kindness? And exhale, watch the breath leave the body. And again, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth as if you're blowing out a kiss. And watch the belly lower. And again, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Final time, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Coming back into a natural style of breath. Just noticing what's here now in terms of felt sensation in the body. Noticing if there's either some tension in the heart. Noticing the quality of breath. Maybe even a rumbling of the belly. Noticing what it feels like to be anxious. Bringing our awareness now into the hips. I invite you to really rest into the support beneath you. Noticing how the earth is supporting you, how it's holding you up without any effort. Your next inhale, bring the breath throughout the entire body. In your next exhale, acknowledging and sinking into the idea and the moment of safety. That in this moment, I am safe. I'm breathing in and out through the nose. My heart is beating. I am alive and I am safe. Again, in your next inhale, breathing in. Next exhale, coming into the knowing that I have resources. That I have food, I have shelter. I have access to information. That in this moment, I am resourced. Let's take an inhale through the nose. Next exhale, coming into the awareness that in this moment, I am also connected. I'm connected to my friends, my family. I have access to my health care. I'm connected to the world around me through technology. That I know where to go to get the help I need. In this moment, I am safe. I am resourced. And I am connected. Take one more inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And when you're ready, slowly blink the eyes open. So I would offer, especially now that we have more time than we usually do in our days to be still, that you would practice this maybe 3 or 4 times a day if possible. And again, maybe not the entire meditation practice, but even if you could get in 10 breaths of breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, that you would notice a shift in your inner experience.
Okay, so how was that? No? So I would not be able to get your answers, but I hope if there are changes no sa inner may magawa ganito. Thank you. If there are changes sa pag hinawakan niyo yung puso niyo, yung dibdib niyo no, na parang mas mahina yung mas maayos yung paghinga, no? Okay, very good. If hindi naman walang changes, sometimes it takes practice. We need to be more patient, po, more gentle with ourselves. It's not every day that we have a pandemic, no? So baka mas kailangan ngayon ng suporta at pagkilala at pagmamahal sa sarili. So kalimutan niyo na lahat ng sasabihin ko from this point. Sana hindi, no? Pero there are 7 ways to cope in times of crisis and practice self-care. So let me begin and I'll focus on the occupational and financial. So when we approach self-care and stress management, I always begin in a holistic frame, no? When I say holistic frame, it's a wellness framework because we have different aspects of our lives, like the physical, yung katawan natin, intellectual, iisip natin, emotional, ito yung mga nararamdaman natin na masakit, emotions, different emotion, anxiety, sadness, happiness, no? And then spiritual, ito naman yung connection natin to a higher power, environmental, nangyayari sa labas, financial, syempre pera, at trabaho, and of course, yung social. Sige, so let's begin because I don't have all the time, ano? So sa physical, alam na natin ito sa nutrition. Ang gusto kong i-emphasize sa physical ay ang pagkain. Alam ko yung iba mas hirap ngayon na kumita ng pera, so mas less yung nakakain nila na nutritious foods or vegetables. But as much as possible po, mag-vitamin C tayo. Mura lang po yun, no? Sa Mercury nakakabili tayo. And less fats, no? So anything that would boost the immune system for a healthy diet is good. Next po ay exercise. Ang recommended po ng World Health Organization ay 30 minutes daily para po sa mga adults. And for children, it's 1 hour. So yung mga bata po, I think 21 and below, sumama na kayo sa 1 hour, ano, na kailangan nating gumalaw. Ang sinasabi dito ay hindi naman siya kailangan exercise na mag-aerobics tayo or mag-zumba. Pwede pong yung mga plantitos at plantitas natin dyan, pagdidilig ng halaman, mga gawaing bahay, isama na rin po natin, gumalaw po tayo. Kasi pag hindi po, may mga side effects po iyan sa physical health natin, no? Yung presentation po, I could give you later a copy po, nandun naman po sa ating organizers. And enough sleep. Ano po yung recommended para makakatulog tayo ng maayos? Huwag po tayong magbasa na ng mga news online sa cellphone bago matulog. At least mga 30 minutes to 1 hour, wag na po na tayong mag-check pa. Sabihin nyo sa akin, ma'am, kasi nagising ako ng madaling araw, nag-CR ako. Tapos, ano ginawa mo? Hinawakan ko yung cellphone ko. Pwede naman mag-CR lang, wag nang hawakan yung cellphone. Bakit kailangan katabi yung cellphone pag matutulog or kailangan hawakan? So as much as possible, tayo mismo yung mag-a-adjust para hindi tayo ma-stress sa nangyayari sa labas, no? Yung ritual very important. Huwag po tayong magkape din bago matutulog. Huwag tayong masyadong kumain sa gabi bago matulog if that would affect us. And then yung routine, if we sleep at 9 p.m. every day, let's stick to that as much as possible. Although there are rare cases, pero let's stick to that time na 9 p.m. Okay, importante na sabi na alam natin ang gagawin kung meron tayong kapitbahay or kapamilya or estudyante na magkaroon or mahawa ng COVID-19. Kanino tayo lalapit, no? Alamin natin 'yon. And take breaks from watching, reading, listening to news. Stressful po ang ating news, so marami itong binabanggit na over-exaggerate nila minsan yung mga pangyayari. Ito po yung mga hotlines na nakuha ko sa COVID-19. So sa area po ng Calabarzon ito, and meron din pong sa UPPGH that we could always ask for help. There is help, there is hope. Ito naman po yung sa mental health hotlines na you could screenshot or you could view na lang later on sa YouTube or sa FB. Napaka-importante po nung sinasabi ni Carol Dweck na growth mindset. In this time of pandemic, kailangan po alam natin na kailangan nating matuto. Whether it's about information technology, whether it's about new ways or strategies of teaching, yun po yung kailangan natin ilagay sa isip natin na wag nating isarado na hanggang dito na lang yung kakayanan ko. Of course, we all have something to give pa. And we can always learn from those mistakes. Kaya nga lagi kong tinatanong, are we mindful or mindful? There's a difference between having a mind that is so cluttered and a mind that is carefree. And it's so important also in terms of emotion that we know the things that I can control. Ano ba yung mga bagay na kontrolado natin? And we focus on those things. Yung mga bagay na hindi natin kontrolado, of course, we try to let go of these things para hindi rin siya stressful for us. And breathe deep and be thankful na nagising tayo ngayong araw, na ang nakaraan na bagyo or low pressure area ay nakalabas na ng bansa natin. And sa social, no, how to stay connected during social distancing. We can always connect with our loved ones, with our family, with our friends, with the counselors in our school, or with our teachers. No? We may feel isolated physically, but we can always be connected virtually and socially. Eto, dito po ako mag-focus kasi alam ko a lot of teachers ay medyo hirap dahil nga inuwi natin sa bahay yung ating trabaho. So, ang tip po dito ay sana may space tayo, a working space, kasi na hindi tayo masyado nadidistract. Para rin tayong pumasok sa school, kaya lang nasa bahay. No? So, yung ergonomic setup tips for working from home, very important. Ano po yung ergonomics? Ito yung mga tips para yung taas ng table natin, yung taas ng upuan natin, yung ating posture. Alam niyo po yung mga bata, minsan nakikita ko nakahukot na sila masyado. So, that would have an effect on their physical. So, ito po yung, short lang po ito, 2 minutes. Nag-overtime na po ba ako? Sorry, sige. Sandali na lang po ito.
Here's your desk, your chair, monitor, keyboard, mouse, phone, a plant? Sure. Problem is, your desk isn't really built for you. It's for anyone. Spending 8 hours a day reaching, slouching, or craning can lead to pain. At least that's what John Sinke from the Hospital for Special Surgery says.
I do say that every day.
So he's here to, well, he can tell you.
I'm here to show you how to set up your desk ergonomically so you can avoid pain later on in life. Step 1, adjust your chair. The average desk height is 29 to 30 inches tall. For some, this could be too tall or too short. That's where your chair comes in. The first thing you want to do is adjust the height. When you do, make sure your elbows are bent to 90 degrees. So if a person's feet are not touching the floor, this could become an issue. So we're going to give her a footstool. If you don't have access to a footrest, we recommend using a ream of paper. Step 2 is adjust your monitor. The tip is to have the monitor close enough, about arm's length, so you're able to read without having to strain your eyes or to bend forward and adjust your posture. So what you want to do is raise the monitor up till the top of the screen is eye level. If your monitor is not adjustable in height, use your reams of paper. Much better. If you work from 2 monitors, consider how you use them. If you have a primary monitor, you want that directly in front of you. If you use both monitors equally, you want them lined up so you are in the middle of the 2. For a laptop, you want to use a kickstand to raise the screen up to the proper height. Then you can attach an external keyboard and mouse to it. Step number 3 is to mind your mouse and your keyboard. Where your hands end up is where your keyboard should be. Your mouse should end up right next to your keyboard. You want to move from your elbow instead of your shoulder to prevent overuse or strain or pain. The key is not to reach for your tools. Step 4 is to position your phone. You want to put the phone on your non-writing side so you don't have to cradle it to your shoulder. This could eventually lead to neck pain. If you're on the phone a good portion of your day, you want to consider using a headset. That way your hands are free to write down anything or to type on the computer. Step 5, move. After 10-15 minutes, we all begin to slouch in our chairs. So here are some basic exercises you can do while sitting in your chair. The first exercise is a chin tuck. The second exercise is for your upper traps. You're going to do a basic stretch where you bend your head to one side and then gently pull for a little more oomph. The third exercise is called a scapular retraction. You basically are going to squeeze your shoulders back. The fourth exercise is for your lower back. This is what we call a pelvic tilt. The most important thing you want to do is get up out of your chair every hour. Get up and walk. Get something to eat. Get something to drink. Just get up.
John, are we done?
Yeah, we're good.
Great.
Ayun, so kailangan po natin yung gawin. Nakakalimutan po natin pag tayo nasa bahay na nagtatrabaho tayo ng 8 hours kasi tayo tumatayo. No? So hindi naman po natin kailangan gumastos para dito sa mga to. Pwede pong kung ano na lang po yung available sa atin, i-adjust na lang po natin yung taas ng mga upuan and monitor. Eye level po kasi dapat yung mismong parang camera ng ating mismong laptop or monitor, no? Sige. Ay, sorry. And budgeting. As much as possible po, we have to cut back on non-essential spends. Huwag po nating pahirapan yung sarili natin na, ay, kailangan ko ng bagong keyboard, kailangan ko ng ganito. So kung hindi naman po talaga siya ganun ka-importante, let's address first yung priority and basic needs natin. Ngayon po, usong-uso yung nagpapautang, so wag po nating dagdagan yung ating mga loans as much as possible kasi later on, that would also affect our mental health. We could also start our online store or maglagay din po tayo ng emergency funds. Also, wag tayong mag-hoard or yung parang nagpapanik tayo na, maubusan kami ng ganito, baka mag-lockdown na naman, etc. Kasi lalo po tayong ma-stress if we do that. So we don't panic, we stay more cautious instead of panicking. Sa environment po, alam nyo na to na marami tayong plantitos and plantitas, so nakakatulong po siya na may mga halaman tayo sa ating table or sa ating room. And then lastly, to give us a something to think about. Parang kanino ba tayo bumabangon? Alam niyo to sa Nescafe. Pero in a spiritual sense, what is the purpose of why we are here? Sometimes when may mga pandemic at crisis tayong naranasan sa buhay, whether it's midlife crisis, quarter life crisis, career shift, o kahit sa mga estudyante na kailangan ko pa bang mag-aral? No? So we ask ourselves, our lives have meaning pa? And what is the meaning of our lives? Because we have to give life a meaning. So in summary po, napaka-importante po that ngayong panahon na to, we help each other. So excellence po para sa akin is helping others become better than who we are. That's why we are teachers. We teach our students na maging mas magaling at mas maging mabuting tao para sa ikauunlad din ng ating bayan. And we have choices. Hindi po madaling maging butterfly. Yung iba po nagiging caterpillar for the rest of our lives. So, kailangan po natin for a butterfly, kailangan niyang dumaan sa mga challenges ng buhay, no? And lastly, acceptance. We are people of becoming. We are hindi tayo human doings. We are human beings. So, accepting who we are, where we are at this moment is very important. And for this would just take me 2 to 3 minutes, no? For our last, so we started with self-care. Now we are ending. Ito lang pong session ko ha, with a self-care then. So again, I encourage everyone to think about this reflection question. What is an area of my own life where I may need to be more compassionate and kind with myself? So put our hands or we can hug ourselves. Kung madalas hindi natin hug yung sarili natin, while we prayerfully say mindfully this prayer, the loving kindness meditation. You could say this silently with me. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I love and feel love. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you love and feel love. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we love and feel love. Again, in Tagalog, ako'y maging ligtas. Ako'y maging malusog. Ako'y magmahal at mahalin. Ika'y maging ligtas. Ika'y maging malusog. Ika'y magmahal at makaramdam ng pagmamahal. Tayo'y maging ligtas. Tayo'y maging malusog. Tayo'y magmahal at makaramdam ng pagmamahal. With that, thank you so much po for your kind attention, and hopefully magamit niyo po yung some of these tips na pinresent natin one day at a time, paunti-unti po. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Raymily Rose R. Santa Ana, for that wonderful presentation. Every single content that she has delivered and every single point that she has shared with us has been so valuable, most especially for faculty members and teachers and a lot of students. So I hope that if there are students who are watching us today, I hope that you all have your notes and took some notes down, because every single point was so important. And it may sound very simple, but one thing I have realized after Ms. Santa Ana's presentation is that every single thing matters when it comes to taking care of our mental health. And a lot of times we take care of the people around us and of our community, of our family, but very seldom do we start, investing more on our personal well-being. So this is really the best time.
Good morning. Oo. Yung pinadala mo sa akin na certification.
Okay, all right. So let's proceed. Thank you very much, Ms. Raymily Rose R. Santa Ana. Once again, let us appreciate her by giving her a big round of applause. Thank you very much, po. Okay, so she was our first speaker for today. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our second speaker for today's session. We have the chairman of the International Association for Youth and Students for Peace. Please help me welcome Dr. Robert S. Kittle.
Thank you, Julie. And greetings and welcome, and thank you for the invitation to share with you on this very important webinar that we have together. As I share my screen, I hope people can see. Oops, where are we here? Yeah, I'm in Chicago and in the United States, and I'm here because there's another, Santa Ana, who is here, who brought me here, drew me here. And I would like to introduce her to you. I'm a grandfather. So her name is Anna. Actually, our daughter and her husband had a child just at the end of September, and I came here for this, and it's a life changer. Talk about stress-free. This is a picture of being stress-free. Here she is, I think, 2 days old at this time. But let me continue and acknowledge the appreciation of the CHAD program, the Region 4A RIZAL cluster. And I am an educator specifically, and I thought that Professor Santa Ana did an excellent job of looking at stress kind of within us on the micro level. And what I would like to do is to take the same issue of stress and say, okay, we need to find that peace within us. And we've had programs where we say, peace starts with me. But then also at the same time, we need to bring that peace into our communities. So I started by just some review, and I went to the internet and I looked up the word stress, and I found this website. It's called Health Guide. You can look at it there. It's 21 years it's in existence. 50 million people a year take a hit on that site. It works in 180 countries and there are no ads. So they said the factors influencing stress, tolerance, and our first speaker has gone through those. I'll go quickly. Your support network. A strong support of supportive friends and family members is an enormous benefit against stress. When you have people you can count on, life's pressures don't seem so overwhelming. A sense of control, again, she talked about this. If you have confidence in yourself and your ability to influence events and persevere through challenges, it's easier to take stress in stride. And thirdly, they said your attitude and outlook in life. If you're generally hopeful and optimistic, you will be less vulnerable. Stress-hardy people tend to embrace challenges, have a strong sense of humor, believe in a higher purpose, and accept change as an inevitable part of life. Looking at this one that deals with stress specifically related to students, then there were 3 points. Again, some similarities came up. Coping with COVID-19 related stress as a student. Practice self-care, and we heard really a lot about that. Get enough sleep, regular exercise, eat well, try mindfulness apps, meditation as we've heard, and establish a routine. In other words, set responsibility in your life and patterns and habits, and that actually brings comfort to you. The irregularity of life can be stressful. Seek out social support. Find new ways to celebrate, be grateful, and be positive. My favorite Bible verse is 2 Thessalonians 5:17, be grateful always. It's that simple. And that, affects our life and the outlook on life. Focus on things that you can control. Again, something the first speaker talked about. You can only control your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So we need a very clear purpose of life itself. And in fact, one of the closing comments really struck my mind, where she said, we need to give life a meaning. And I think that would probably be the focus of my presentation, rather than the inner peace that we need and we must nurture, is how do we take that into the world in which we live, because stress often comes from the world itself. So I'm grateful for this theme, the CHAD programs, fostering a positive vision of peace, and that will be the topic of my presentation, and building a stress-free academic communities. I actually don't think we can have stress-free academic communities because stress is part of life, and stress is a good thing, and I'll explain that. I think instead of stress-free, we need to be able to manage stress and not strive to be stress-free. So a positive vision of hope and peace. The International Peace Leadership College has a course, which is an institutional requirement, peace education program. This is our campus in RIZAL. And one of the, this is the curriculum outline for our program. And I'm drawing from that and trying to apply that with this Republic Act 11476, recent manners, right conduct, and values education. And if we have the right education, it will certainly help in eliminating the stress. One of our programs is called a Zero to Hero. We talk about exercise. Well, we have martial arts training for the students. And we've had several classes. I'll go through that quickly. And my focus will be on the need for principles in our lives, the basic fundamental principles. If you want to be an architect, you must study the principles of architecture. Otherwise, the building that you build may fall down. If you want to be an electrical engineer, you need to study the principles of electrical engineering. If you want to be a civil engineer, you must study the principles of civil engineering. So we need to find these fundamental principles that give meaning, purpose, and value to our lives. I believe that will be a big step towards managing stress. There are principles in the atomic world and operating in our solar system. Place. In order to fly, we can see birds fly, we can dream of flying, but we cannot fly unless we have these principles of aerodynamics and apply them when we build airplanes. We dream of peace, we see peace in nature. Is that enough? No. We want peace in our environment, in our societies, in our nation. But what are these principles? Well, first, let's look at the criteria of what these principles would be. They must be universal. In other words, these principles will apply everywhere. It doesn't matter where we live. These principles will apply in all time zones, in the past, present, and future. They won't change. And that unchangingness, linking on to this unchangingness, gives stability in our life when we go through periods of difficulty and stress. Also, these principles will work within individuals, but we do want you to change your attitude, some things, so that we can adjust and find stability within our life. And finally, these principles must be very simple and logical, so much so that if you don't have even the ability to read and write, you should recognize them. And yet, if you have a PhD, then you should be able to go even deeper into them. So simple and logical. Looking for universal values in our life. Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, said universal values are also more acutely needed in this age of globalization than ever before, because we're trying also to build peace within the international community, and we need these universal values. A Jewish scholar, writer, and the founder of Prager University said, without shared values, how does a society survive? And in many cases, the stress that we have within us comes from not understanding these basic, unchanging principles that give us stability and kind of anchor us in the middle of storms that we need to go through. So what are these principles? Here they are. They are very simple. They are two. I'll explain them briefly because of time, but I know we're a little bit over, but anyway, please let me continue. The first is a dual purpose principle of mind and body, and that, when we talk about that, the issue of meditation, which was talked about, comes into practice. And then the pair system principle of man and woman, if that goes bad, there's a lot of stress that is caused in the on-again, off-again relationships of men and women, or the breakup of marriages or dysfunctional families. So let's solve these macro stress producers in our lives. I call this one the pillar, the mind-body relationship, because it's vertical in nature. And if you want to build a building, you first put in the pillar. They are essential and they create the right priority in life. Both are necessary. The mind and body are both important and both necessary, but the mind is more important. But the family is more important than the individual, and the community is more important than the family. The nation, more important than the community, of course, is God, our Father. So this, the windows and the doors you can put anywhere, but these pillars, and if you remove the pillars and beams, then that building implodes and the stress of life will crush us. It's the same with our character. Our character has pillars and beams. If we don't have them strong and clear, then our character will implode. Nations will implode. Societies and civilizations. So we're dealing with kind of the fundamental area of life itself. These unchanging principles give stability, immutability, and value to our life. The diamond is unscratchable, and because it cannot scratch, it's the hardest mineral, it has tremendous value. Gold does not rust. So when we get these principles, then we find the fundamental value of our life, and we can hold on to that in the middle of storms and difficulties, and it will be really a source of very much kind of an anchor. I've said that before, but an anchor in our lives. Let's talk about the first one, the mind and body principle. The mind is the internal directive nature. It needs to be nourished. It's invisible, but it's very strong and very powerful. We have a body which is the external form, and the mind should control the body. This is fundamental. If the body starts to control the mind, then things are upside down. The mind is up and the body is down, and that relationship creates a vertical pillar in our life. Everything has a mind and body. Animals, plants, and in the mineral world. In the animal world, we change the name and we call it instinct. But it's the mind that tells the birds how to fly in a V formation when they migrate. It's the mind that allows the turtle to swim in the ocean for 20 years and come back to the same beach that it hatched and walked into the ocean 20 years ago. They don't have a Google map. They don't have a cell phone. And yet it comes back, it tells the butterflies when they fly thousands of miles in America, from Canada to Mexico every year. So the mind is very, very powerful. It will direct the body in the right way. So we need to educate and strengthen our mind. Plants have a mind, and we call it a response mechanism. So you put the seed in the ground, it doesn't matter if it's right side up or upside down, the seed knows which way to grow. And even when that seed reaches maturity, it will track the sun, even on a cloudy day. The molecular world, well, it starts off very simple. Energy creates particles, and that's Einstein's theory of relativity. Particles create atoms, atoms create molecules. The mind that is operating within the molecular world is natural law. For example, in water, you have kind of an H2O, the two hydrogen, one oxygen makes a water molecule, and the angle is constant, and that constantness, it's unchanging, it's immutable, and it brings stability to the atom. So energy without a mind or energy without direction, we call it a bomb, and that is stress. It means we've got a lot of energy, but we're not able to control that energy, then it becomes destructive rather than constructive. And that creates stress within us. It's like this tremendous amount of energy. So what we have learned here is that the mind and body relationship of animal, plants, and the molecular world is unlearned, instinctual, and automatic, but not in us. We participate in aligning the mind and body correctly. It's called responsibility. Mother Moon, who established the Peace College, the International Peace Leadership College in RIZAL, said this in her recent autobiography. Animals Am I on again? Are we okay?
Yeah, you're online.
Is this showing now the Mother of Peace autobiography?
No, can you reconnect again? Share.
Sorry, I guess I dropped. All right.
It's coming, Dr. Kito.
Now you can see.
Yeah, already okay.
And my voice?
Yeah, that's okay.
My voice is okay? You can hear?
Yes, yes, go ahead, please.
Julius, can you hear? Venus? Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
All
It's
right.
very clear.
Um,
Go ahead.
Mother Moon said, animals search for a partner to bear and raise offspring, but they differ from us in that for them, love is instinctual and they are not responsible to make moral decisions related to love. For human beings, in contrast to animals, love is accompanied by responsibility. Love practiced with moral responsibility is called true love. So there can be true love and false love. And if we don't know the difference, and this powerful force is misused, it is destructive rather than constructive. So God has given us this gift of responsibility. It is critically important. If God kept all the responsibility for himself, God is almighty and God is going to keep everything for himself, well, how much would we have? Zero. In that case, we would have no responsibility. We would be just like animals. Everything would be instinctual, kind of put into us at the time of creation. And this is what God didn't want. He said, I don't want another animal that just walks vertically. I want my children who I create in my image. And so God said, I'm going to give them something very special, a part of me, a spirit that lives within them. And I'm going to take 95%, yes, I'm the creator, but I'm going to give man a very special gift, 5% portion of responsibility. Well, God has 95% portion, but he is 100% responsible. We have a 5% portion, but we are 100% responsible for that small portion of responsibility. This means we are partners in working out God's will together. God needs us, and we need God. And that is a tremendous kind of inner peace that comes within us, that relationship. So our focus is be responsible. And this is what we try to teach our children as we grow up. Starting in the earliest ages of elementary school, middle school, and high school, we're teaching them to be responsible. Adulthood means we've accomplished this. We are responsible. We can sign contracts. We can make agreements. We can keep our promises. In this process, the relationship between freedom and responsibility is very important. Freedom to choose is not to be free. What does that mean? It means if you are free to choose, there are many choices that you can make. But being free means making the right choices. You need to make the right choices. Why? Freedom depends on making right choices. Because although we are free to choose, we are not free to choose the consequences. So if I choose to smoke, I cannot choose not to have cancer. If I choose to drink, I cannot choose to have liver problems if I overdrink. So we have to make right choices. Let me show you an example. You go into a restaurant and you are free to choose steak, fish, vanilla ice cream, or chocolate for dessert, whatever you may like. But there is something that you are not free to choose, and that is pay the bill. You're not free. Oh, I would like to pay the bill. I don't want to pay the bill. If you don't want to pay the bill, they're going to call the police. And then if everybody doesn't pay the bill, the restaurant closes down and nobody has the choice anymore. So responsibility comes before our ability to choose. Another example, you want to drive a car or a motorcycle. Well, you're not free to make your own rules and drive on whichever side of the road you want. Again, responsibility precedes and comes before the freedom to choose to drive a car and go wherever you would like to go. So this is the point. Responsibility plus choice, making the right choices equals freedom. If we neglect our responsibility and we are not responsible, then we lose our freedom. And I just want to choose. I want to choose. I want to choose. I want to choose. And that's called selfishness. And the big debate in America about, the abortion rights, well, some people say pro-choice and some people say pro-life. Pro-choice means you just want to choose. You just want to choose. I want to have, relationships. Then I want the baby. Well, at some point, it's not just choice. And we have to really examine this again. Our responsibility is to make the fundamental principles that we are talking about, make them part of our character and our culture. Our means everybody, parents, children, teachers, CEO, mayor, lawyers, media, president, prime minister, MPs, garbage collectors, religious leaders, because these principles are universal and they don't change. So we need to learn them and bring them in our life. Let me show you an example of stress. You want to learn to drive a car and you get in the car for the first time. There is a lot of stress. And you've got this wheel and you've got the levers and you've got the pedals and you don't know what to do. Fear, because the principle of driving is not yet within you, it's outside of you. And well, you practice, and this is a stressful situation. A lot of stress comes from this. And then you practice, and you go to a big parking lot where you can't hit any other cars, and you practice and practice because you have a lot of power with this automobile. And after you practice a lot, then you bring the principles within you and you drive without thinking about it almost. It's like second nature. And then you are free. This is called stress management. You need a little bit of stress. You can't go to sleep at the wheel. I'm so comfortable, let me just go to sleep. No, you can't. You have to be a little bit on edge. And it's good because it keeps you alert and aware of what is happening around you so that you can, in some cases, protect yourself and not, hit or injure other people. So our 5% responsibility, which oftentimes is a tremendous source of stress, is actually a great gift from God. We have a 5% portion, but we are 100% responsible. If we fulfill our responsibility, then we create an ideal world. If we fail to fulfill that, then we will create a wicked world. And that's true within our families, that is true within our society, within our nations as well. So this great gift that God has given to us is fundamentally important. Let me conclude by just giving this summary again. There are two fundamental, unchanging, absolute principles. One is the dual purpose. I've talked a little bit about that. Next time, on the 23rd of October, I will go more into the pair system principle, the relationship between men and women, and how that can be really a bridge builder, and how men and women can work together to help complement each other and build families, become parents, become, as I have become, a grandparent. That is a tremendous amount of joy and peace and happiness in our lives. The family is the root of all of these things. I thank you so much for your kind attention. I have more, but I think in the interest of time, let me conclude here. Thank you and mabuhay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robert S. Kittle, for that wonderful and very insightful remarks, message on how do we be able to take care of our own self by embodying the principle of goodness and principles of true love. So this gives us an insight and all the more reason to take care of our mental health, our well-being, our spirituality, as well as the health of the people around us. Because we realize through Dr. Kito's message that we serve a higher and greater purpose. So thank you very much to both our speakers for the wonderful message that we have received today. For sure, we have a lot of questions and reactions waiting for us. Don't worry, we will have time allotted for that. Then now the next part of our program is we will be hearing some message, some reactions. So for our first reactor, I will be calling si Ma'am. Okay, so for our first reactor, she is the head of the Scholarship and Financial Assistance, OSDS, of the University of RIZAL System. Without further ado, please help me welcome Professor Roslyn B. Maga.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Okay, good morning to all once again.
Good morning po.
Morning po.
Okay.
Good morning.
Okay, we have, can I begin now?
Yes, good morning.
Yes, you're online po. You're online now.
Okay. So we have individual differences on the way we react to stressful situations. And our resource speakers have indeed presented different coping strategies. And what I like most that Ma'am Red has said, so it's about the plantitos and the plantitas, which is indeed very in demand in today's pandemic. So may nakikita ko kasi sa FB, marami nagpo-post ng mga tanim nila. And yung iba nga, bumibili pa ng magagandang pot, yung paso. And talaga namang nakakalibang kapag nagtanim tayo ng halaman. And to our second speaker, Dr. Robert Kittel, good morning to you, sir. So I want to stress out on confidence in yourself or in ourselves. Also, to be mindful of our attitude as number one criteria, our attitude. Hindi lamang po sa work, kung hindi sa personal relationship natin. And then, I also noted on let us be hopeful and optimistic. And the last is the principles of goodness and the principles of true love. So I want to say thank you to our resource speakers, dun po sa dalawang speakers natin. So you have given us tools to practice resilient and mindful management, both of which are critically important in times of crisis. So we learned a lot from you, and shall I say, to be mindful of what is happening to us, especially in this time of pandemic, I may say that all aspects in our life should be well balanced, enough to combat the crisis we face. So thus, a mentally healthy individual is a person who balances his or her emotional, mental, social, physical, occupational, and most especially, his or her spiritual aspect of life. So stay safe everyone and be smart. So meron akong definition ng smart dito. So S stands for seek God first. Letter M, manage your stress. Letter A, avoid crowded places. Letter R, I mean, is relax. And the last one, letter T, talk to someone. Okay, from that is all, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Professor Magat, for that wonderful reaction. Now we're going to hear from the President of the Philippine Association of Colleges of Businesses. Please help me welcome Dr. Amado Magsimo.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning
Good
po.
morning from the
Morning.
people of beautiful people of Rizal.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for Dr. Venus Agustin and URS for inviting me as one of the reactors in this very dynamic webinar, because we have dynamic speakers from URS and our very own Dr. Kittel from the Universal Peace Federation, PWPA Philippines. First, I think I have to go with our first and second speakers about how to cope up stress management, how to develop or how to take care of our own selves. But not only, if I may add, because what was very emphasized by Miss Santa Ana, Professor Santa Ana, is about self-care. You know? How to, I could share also what I do in my daily lives in this time of pandemic. Well, this pandemic brought a lot of movements, changes, good or bad, to each and every one of us. But nevertheless, yet bottom line is we need to do the daily prayer. Prayer is one which is indispensable to each and every one of us. So we do it in the morning, before, after getting up, and during nighttime, and even in the workplace. And to check, as I could still remember the first, one of the, I think the second slide of Ms. Santa Ana's presentation, kumustahin mo ang iyong sarili. Okay, are you still alive? Are you still fresh? Are you still full of energy? Because, as I said, in this time of pandemic, it brought a lot of changes into ourselves. Some of us are becoming lazy. Some of us are becoming idle. Some of us are becoming very busy. So what I could share on is we have to relax. We have to optimize the time available for the day, because most of us are in our home place, but although some are in the workplace, but comparing the WFH, now work from home scheme, and with that the face-to-face work. So they're challenged by some of the how do we spend wisely and productively the rest of the days. In fact, we don't get out of the house, we don't get out of our home place, but yet we still have to develop the spirit of scheduling, time management, and so on and so forth. Maraming there are a lot of comments and personal comments and comments from other people. Wala akong, tumaba lang ako nitong pandemic kasi wala akong ginagawa kundi kain lang ng kain, etc., etc. Okay, so, well, that's fine, no? But please take note that we have to, yeah, we have to keep ourselves, busy, you know, but we don't, these are the things that I could share. No? We don't overthink, we don't overwork, we don't overeat, because anything that is over is not good for the health. Okay. Remember that what is our common greeting now? Stay safe, be healthy. Yan palagi ang ating, di ba? Sa dati, hi lang tayo, bye, etc., etc. But now when we part ways with our friends, with our colleagues, ano yung common ko natin is stay safe. Okay? So, and because number one problem within ourselves, if we don't develop what Ms. Santa Ana advised us about self-care, there are some cases of stress, and ultimately it resulted to committing one's life, and especially for the students. No? So that's why what I could say is if we develop self-care so that we keep ourselves in a safe mode, and perhaps we could also share it with our students on how is it to develop self-care, or how to protect ourselves, and how to spend wisely the time available. So we have Dr. Kittel mentioned about also the and then having a sense of humor, okay, social support, okay, and focusing on things you can control. This kills a person. Whenever, this is what I was just telling a while ago about overthinking. You don't overthink. You don't think of things which are controllable. Otherwise, it will just frustrate you, and eventually it will kill you. Okay, so that you focus on things you can control. Okay, this also, these are two good important things shared by the two speakers. Especially by Dr. Kita, no? Focusing on control. This may these are not, incidents which were not disclosed among different students from different schools because of and assignments to our students. Please take note that if you are or rather one student, take note that you're not the lone teacher of that student. If he is involved in 24 units, that corresponds to 8 teachers. Okay. Considering we do the asynchronous mode of, of meetings, okay, please take note of this also, that when a student attends to your assignment or your courseware assigned to her, he is thinking or she is thinking of the 7 other teachers' workload. And that sometimes plus what do you call this? Other than the coursewares, they are also having some housewares or house chores, no, to attend to. So there is a mix of concentration, focusing on concentration, which are sometimes being uncontrollable because of so much burden given to them. Okay, so that is also the applying the principle of the universal principles, okay, by Dr. Keaton. No? The principle of say the principles you have to, if you know the principles of, for example, culinary, you have to be an expert in culinary. Okay? So you have to apply this. Meaning, if you are to share with your students, you have to know first the principles so that you don't get wrong, you don't get into the wrong direction, and the student take note. It is really very challenging task for us teachers, okay, to face or to attend to our students. We do not know whether they understand us. We do not know they understand our assignments and so on and so forth. But practically, as I said, I'm going back to my piece of advice that when we give assignments, we don't let them overthink, thinking of other teachers' assignments, etc., etc. Okay, so this is it, no? Because this is it. This is pandemic. We can't do anything about it. This is pandemic period, and that's the only mode, or that's the only venue in we could attend to our student. Okay, so with that, I think another sharing my own experience. No, you do your passion, what you are good at, do it. No, in your extra time. Okay, again, do not overwork. Okay, you divide your time for some of your personal passion. For example, my passion is cooking. No? Most of the times I cook at home, no? Whenever I'm free with my webinars and so on and so forth. And when you attend to your and take note, no, especially again when we address our students, no, see that they also have the time to relax, no, because that may add up to their what do you call this? They lose their control. Okay, so yeah, so those are some of things that I could share, and I hope we don't only, but as I said, it starts from us. No? Self-care. We have to keep ourselves fit for everything, relax. And how do we do that? So as I said, going back to my first statement is that we have to optimize the time available for the day. So we set priorities on what we do. Our consolation is that we don't get out of our home place. Okay, so that's one of the consolations brought by this pandemic. So with that, I think I congratulate the two speakers for good sharing, and I hope we learn from these two speakers. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amado Magsino, for that reaction. And to also, once again, to Ms. Magat. So there are two reactors for today, but up next, we're going to have time for some open forum. So if any of our participants or students have questions that they would like to ask to any of our speakers, to Ms. Santa Ana and to Dr. Kittle, please submit them through the chat box, and one of our staff will be consolidating them, and we will try to answer this. We don't have a lot of time here, but we're going to try. We don't have a lot of time, but we're going to try to answer as much as we can. So if you have some questions, please just send it through the chat box, and Ms. Gab will be consolidating them. Okay, so for this open forum, we have a moderator for this. So he has already collected all the questions. Without further ado, please help me welcome the guidance counselor of the University of Rizal System, Mr. Jonathan A. Lourdes. Sir?
Okay, thank you, Miss Julie. Okay,
Thank you.
good morning to all our participants all over the province of Rizal. Magandang umaga po. All right,
Good
we all
morning.
have witnessed the presentations of our speakers, and their presentations are very informative and heartfelt. Do you agree? Yes. But if you still have something in your mind that you want to clarify or that you want to ask for more information or additional knowledge, you may ask now. You may use our comment section or the chat box. I think we have participants in YouTube and FB as well. Sige po, maghihintay po kami. I'm sorry. So I think we have questions already here. We have here from Mark Anthony Calo, a BS Ed Science student from Colegio de Montalban. I think this question is for Dr. Robert. Sir, are you ready now? Sir, Dr. Robert?
Please, go ahead. Thank you.
All right, let me read the question. Is stress linked to anxiety and panic attacks?
Is stress linked to anxiety and
panic attacks?
Oh, panic attack. I am not, let me say from the beginning, a medical doctor or a counselor. So my, but is stress linked to, what was it? Is stress linked to something in panic attack? Please repeat one more time.
Yeah.
Anxiety and panic attack.
Oh, anxiety. Okay. Okay. I think so. And I think even below that, it's the desire for people to kind of escape from responsibility. They oftentimes see responsibility as kind of a heavy burden, and they're not having the right attitude toward responsibility. Responsibility, as I see it, is a gift from God. It is making us human, differentiating us from everything else that God has made. We alone stand in the image of God. And sometimes when we don't understand this kind of basic gift and the basic principle of really this mind and body relationship that we are responsible for, then I think it can create anxiety. And then it can even get out of hand sometimes, panic attacks, and even worse. Next time we will talk about the importance of understanding both the purpose of this physical world and the purpose of our life after death in the spiritual world. And that relationship is critically important because many times people think, well, I get into a stressful situation and I can just end my life and solve my problems. That doesn't work. And if they understand the purpose of this life is preparation for an eternal life in the spiritual world. So just in this case, maybe ending your own life is not going to solve your problems. It will actually make them worse because you carry these same unsolved problems with you into the spiritual world. So it's better to, instead of having this panic attack and anxiety, is to, again, find a network of people that can help and work with you on that. Your family should be your best support system. If not, you need a substitute family, and those can be youth groups that you have, and we have several of them as well. So that would be kind of my overall answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robert. All right. So I have here another question from Verly San Juan. And I think this question is for Ma'am Rem. Ma'am Rem, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Thank you.
All right, it goes like this. I just want to ask, kapag po ba nag-inhale at nag-exhale ka ng sunod-sunod, ay nakaka-relax po ba ng pag-iisip o para po maging kalma, relax po? Nakuha mo, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Napakaganda nung tanong ng simple, no, pero may dating. Una, yung paghinga, automatic sa atin yon. So, kailangan talaga natin yon para mabuhay. So, yung sinasabi niya na ang target kasi, if nagsimula tayo ngayon, nagiging aware tayo tungkol sa nangyayari sa sarili natin kapag humihinga tayo. Masakit ba ang ulo natin, likod, bewang, hanggang paa. So, tapos, pag lagi siya ginagawa, it becomes a habit. So, kung may habit tayo na gano'n araw-araw, so, namomonitor natin kung ano yung nangyayari sa sarili natin. Napaka-importante that we are aware of what is happening inside our body. Because if we are aware of what's happening to us, and then we will be aware of how we are going, kagaya ng sinasabi ni Dr. Kittel kanina, we will become aware of how we respond to our environment in a very responsive way. So that is how it's connected. So napaka-importante nung connection na yon. That when we take care of ourselves, we bring it out to the world so that we bring something positive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Rem. Okay po. This particular question from John Carlo Velonza of San Mateo Municipal College can be answered by our two speakers. Okay, so this is the question. What must be the healthy advice to all people who are introverted and easy to isolate to other socialized people? Again, I will read the question. What must be the healthy advice to all people who are introverted and easy to isolate to other socialized people? All right, I think Dr. Robert can also answer this question, and also Ma'am Rem.
Healthy advice for introverted people.
Yes, sir.
My philosophy of life is that we find value in serving other people and living for other people, in helping other people, in loving other people. And it's not just loving other people, but that gives us value in our lives. We are not burdens to other people. So I would say if you are introvert, then find ways that you're comfortable with in order to help and serve other people. And you can do that wherever you are. In your own home, there are infinite number of ways that you can help make your family better, make your home better. It starts with a routine. When you get up in the morning, take care of yourself, make your bed. It's really kind of that simple. And then you carry this attitude, help take out the garbage, help wash the dishes, help mop the floors. I mean, you can help and come out of yourself, and you will find a tremendous joy and happiness in this relationship of helping and serving other people. I see this is critically important for young people as they grow up, that they overcome their introversion with really a healthy relationship of love. And it's again a support network. And you learn this, you model this within the family. And if you're helping brothers and sisters, helping your parents, then when you go out in society, you want to carry on that same lifestyle. So the family is the nucleus. It's the school of teaching good character, responsibility, and overcoming and learning to live for the sake of others in a joyful, happy, loving way.
Thank you, Dr. Kittel. I would just like to add, Sa bansa po kasi natin, in the Philippines, we sometimes view being introverted as something very negative. But hindi po ibig sabihin na kakaunti lang ang kaibigan natin. Hindi po ibig sabihin na lagi tayong nag-iisa. Although we don't advise it at this time of the pandemic, um, uh, hindi na totally maganda yon. There are moments in life that we have to be alone, and there are moments in our lives that we have to be part of a community. No, it's a two-way street that we cannot just live alone. We are also part of the community. So the first thing is when it comes to healthy advice is to know if you have accepted that you are an introverted person, no? Acceptance kasi is important uh, for you to be able to manage yung mga pwede mo pang gawin later on. And it's easy to isolate ourselves, especially that we are on quarantine. So before the pandemic, the Hope Line or the National Center for Mental Health has been receiving around 80 calls per month. But with the coming of the pandemic up until now, they are already receiving mental health crisis hotlines ito. Around 400 to 800 calls per month. That would mean that a lot of people are coming into mental health crisis hotlines because they need help. I was not able to emphasize in the presentation, but it was never, and it will never be a weakness to seek help. Kami rin pong mga counselors, we also undergo therapy and counseling when we need to. So yung pinakita ko po na Hope Line later, you could replay it. And kung comfortable tayo to call sa somebody who we do not know, and then go po. Kung comfortable tayo, we are part of a school, then we can consult our teachers. Nandito po tayong mga teachers, yung ating pong mga administrators, that SHED also who has been doing these webinars. No, I would like to thank also. And na kakilala natin, no, they could refer us to professionals po for help. If it becomes more clinical in nature. Ibig ko sabihin, hindi na nakakakain, hindi na nakakatulog, or having problems sa pakikipag-usap. So, thank you po.
All right, thank you, Ma'am Rem and Dr. Robert. To all our participants, as much as we want to entertain your questions, but due to limited time, we have to end the question and answer part of this program. Once again, thank you so much for all your questions. And also to our speakers, Dr. Robert and Ma'am Rem, thank you so much po. Magandang umaga once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jonathan A. Luris, for facilitating the question and answer portion, and for all those who sent in their questions, and to the speakers who answered. Now we have approached the last part of our program this morning. We're going to hear some closing remarks from none other than the most beloved president of the University of Rizal Systems. Please help me welcome with a big round of applause, Dr. Nancy P. Pascual.
Okay, thank you very much, Julie. To the CHED Region 4 Director, Dr. Amelia A. Biglete, CHED Partners, Ms. Cora Ampongan and Ms. Renifer Francisco, to our resource speakers, Dr. Robert S. Kittel and Professor Remily Rose R. Santa Ana, to the President of International Peace Leadership College, Dr. Venus D. Agustin, and focal person, Mr. J. Minor, to the President of Antipolo Institute of Technology, Dr. Erlinda Pipianco, to the Provost of De La Salle College of St. Benil, Antipolo, Dr. Pedro Simon T. Ledesma, to the President of ICCT College Foundation, Dr. Vivian Cose, to Dr. Victoria C. Nabal, President of Juan Cainta College, to Sister Caroline Capili, President Siena College of Taytay, to the members of the team, URS team, Dr. Alan E. Conde, Ms. Renee De Lemon, Professor John Albito, and Professor Jeffrey Asor, and the participants from URS, to the faculty and staff of International Peace Leadership College, the participants from the different HEIs in Rizal. Magandang hapon na po sa ating lahat. So in our current situation, with the pandemic still affecting us all, it is easy to succumb to depression and stress, but we must remain hopeful and optimistic. After all, the way we address our circumstances largely depends on how we manage our own perspectives. So I would like to express my sincerest appreciation to our invited speakers, Professor Remily Rose Santa Ana and Dr. Robert Kittel, for sharing their views and insights on stress management. To the CHED Region 4 Director Biglete, thank you for spearheading CHED Higher Education Bayanihan, which is the basis of today's activity. Ma'am Cora and Ma'am Reniper for guiding us in conceptualizing and implementing the projects. So to the main proponent of this webinar, Dr. Venus Agustin, thank you for your wholehearted support and enthusiasm in proposing this activity. So to my fellow presidents and member of the Rizal Province Committee, for your willingness to be of service to our fellow Rizaleños. To the URS personnel who helped organize this webinar, Dr. Alan Conde, Ms. Renee De Limon, Professor Nel John Albito, and Professor Jeffrey Asor, and to my URS family who consistently support the activities and projects exposed by the university. You have my utmost gratitude and appreciation. To the faculty and staff of International Peace Leadership College, thank you for your invaluable contribution towards the success of this webinar. I am looking forward to more partnership and collaboration in the future. To the participants in today's webinar, I hope this activity gave you new insights on proper stress management. May it serve as your foundation in dealing with the challenges of life, thereby promoting stress-free higher education institutions in the province of Rizal. So once again, thank you very much and mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nancy T. Pascual, for the wonderful closing remarks. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Also, I would like to share to everyone that we have 354 YouTube live participants on YouTube, 343 on the URS FB Live, 350 on the Professors World Peace Academy Facebook page, and 33 here on Zoom. So that's a huge number of people watching this and absorbing all this precious and valuable content. Thank you very much, everyone, for making this happen. And before we formally end this, we also would like to recognize Dr. Venus G. Agustin. He is the president of the International Peace Leadership College, which is one of the partners of this webinar series. Sir, would you like to say a few words before we end this?
Yes, just to announce that this is not an end. This is a series 1, and there will be series 2 to be on October 23. So please, reserve your slot on October 23, the same time, 10 to 12 noon. Thank you very much.
Okay, so maraming salamat po. Also, just would like to let everyone know that we will be giving out certificates of participation. So we also have evaluation forms. So if you can see on the chat box or on the comment section, some of our staff has already put there the link to a Google Drive so you can fill up the evaluation form. And after filling that up, you can get a certificate of participation by the end of this webinar series. So if there are no more announcements, I guess this is where we will be concluding this webinar series on nurturing the heart and soul, promoting physical, mental, spiritual well-being in this time of pandemic. Thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.